the day my uncle kicked me out. The Florida sky erupted in a furious thunderstorm. Not a gentle summer rain, but a wild downpour, lightning tearing through the clouds, wind howling, and sheets of rain battering the driveway as he tossed my backpack into the street like I was nothing but garbage. "No niece of mine is going to waste her potential on some dead-end tech job," he shouted, clutching the resignation letter I'd left on his desk at the family accounting firm. His voice bounced off the coral stucco walls of our Tampa estate. "We are professionals, Camila. Doctors, CPAs, executives, not IT support." I watched my backpack sink into a puddle, knowing my prototype code, the foundation of a tool I designed to fight financial fraud, was safely backed up in the cloud. But it still stung. That bag held my laptop, my journals, the last pieces of comfort from the only home I'd ever known. "T.O., please," I murmured. "This entry-level role at FinSafe is just the beginning. I have a plan." "A plan?" He laughed bitterly. "Camila Vega, you had a future, a partner track at the firm, an engagement to Paul Ramirez, a respectable life, not this fantasy of yours." My aunt lingered in the doorway, biting her lip. "Paul's family invited us to brunch Sunday. He still wants to talk to you." I broke it off. I said firmly, "I want my own career. I'm not marrying into comfort, I'm building it." His face went cold. "You're throwing away a Wharton degree to answer tech support calls? To be invisible?" If he had read my business plan, he'd know this job was my way into FinSafe's system, to learn their weaknesses and build something stronger. But he never listened. "Go," he said, voice ice. "Chase your nonsense. Just don't expect us to catch you when you fall." "Matteo," my aunt whispered. He slammed the door behind him. "You're not my niece anymore." I stood in the rain, hands trembling as I picked up my soaked bag. That day, I lost my family, but I found my resolve. 3 years of secret coding. 3 years of pretending to care about tax audits while building my fraud detection algorithm led to this moment. I glanced at my aunt, still in the doorway, hand on the frame like she wasn't sure whether to come out or retreat. "Tia," I said softly, "aren't you going to say something?" She looked toward the house, where Uncle Matteo was probably in his leather study, pouring scotch, angry and sure of himself. "Maybe," she whispered, "maybe in a few months, when you see this was a mistake." Then she gently closed the door. I looked back at the house I'd grown up in, Spanish tiles, palm trees lining the driveway, the Vega and Vega CPA sign shining next to my uncle's Lexus. Then I slid into my battered old Honda and drove away from the life they'd planned for me. My new place wasn't much, a converted guest house in an aging Tampa suburb, with dodgy plumbing and cockroaches the size of golf balls. But it had fiber internet and just enough space for my monitors and towers. The entry-level tech support gig at FinSafe paid peanuts. But I wasn't there for the money. Every day, I answered tickets about frozen browsers and crashing dashboards. But behind the headset, I was watching, learning, mapping their system, how it worked, where it cracked. At night, I coded. The Excel macros I started during audit reviews evolved into a dynamic fraud prevention model, one that could detect subtle patterns and shut breaches down before they even began. 2 months in, Paul called. "Camila, this has gone far enough. My dad says your uncle might take you back. We can still do the wedding. Just drop this fantasy." I hung up, blocked him. 6 months later, it happened. During a routine QA scan, my tool flagged a hidden exploit their top defenses missed. Quietly, I reported it. Days later, I sat in a glass office overlooking downtown. Mrs. Alvarez, head of cybersecurity, folded her hands. "Can you explain this?" I met her gaze. "Actually, I've been developing a new protocol. I'd like to show you." 3 hours later, I walked out with my first contract. Small, but mine. Enough to quit support and dive into what I believed in. That night, I sent my uncle and aunt an email, "Update, I'm not coming back." The reply came from my aunt's account, every word dripping with Matteo's disdain. "Tech support to junior developer. Hardly the legacy a Wharton graduate should leave. Paul's still unmarried. The Ramirez's asked after you at brunch." I didn't finish reading, closed the email and returned to my code. The next year blurred, lines of Python, late nights, relentless focus. My protocol grew smarter, faster, more effective than anything out there. That first FinSafe contract opened doors. Then came the inquiries, first Stripe, then Apple, and a quiet email from someone at the Department of Defense. I left the cramped guest house behind, moving first into a modest condo, then a larger one, and finally a sleek loft in Tampa's burgeoning tech corridor. I hired one developer, then 3, then a team of 50. That's how VegaGuard systems came to life. But I kept my name off every official filing, let them believe some mysterious cybersecurity prodigy was behind it. I had my reasons. My aunt's messages trickled in every few months, mostly invitations to bar association galas or news about Paul Ramirez's political aspirations. I archived them all unopened. Meanwhile, offers poured in, acquisitions, venture capital deals, billion-dollar buyouts. I rejected every single one. I wanted control. I had earned control. As whispers about VegaGuard's elusive founder grew louder, I hired Tyler Hunt, a charismatic CEO, to be our public face. He was perfect for interviews and investor calls. I stayed in the shadows, coding, testing, refining. One afternoon, Serena, my chief of staff, knocked and peeked into my office. "Camila, Forbes is asking again. They want you for the 30 under 30 list. Tell them to talk to Tyler," I said without looking up. "They don't want Tyler. They're publishing with or without you." I froze. How did they find out? Probably that intern from FinSafe. He never signed the right NDA. I leaned back, picturing my uncle's face the day he tossed my laptop into the rain. All those warnings, all those dismissals. "Fine," I said. "I'll do it, on one condition." 2 weeks later, I held an advance copy of Forbes in my glass-walled office. The cover screamed, "Camila Vega, 26, founder of VegaGuard Systems, youngest self-made cybersecurity billionaire." My phone buzzed, my aunt's name. I watched it ring and let it go to voicemail. If you've ever been underestimated, judged, or told your dreams were impossible, hit subscribe, because Camila's story isn't over, and neither is yours. The article dropped on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, Uncle Mateo's accounting firm had lost 3 of its largest clients to firms with modern cybersecurity. By Thursday, 5 more were gone. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My aunt called 37 times. My uncle, 18. Even Paul Ramirez messaged me on LinkedIn, no doubt after his father's consulting group lost 2 contracts over security flaws. Friday morning, Serena poked her head in. "Camila, your uncle and aunt are downstairs." I glanced up from my screen. "Of course they are. This isn't a visit," Serena said cautiously. "It's business, desperate business. They're not on the schedule. But your uncle tried strong-arming security with legal threats. Your aunt's crying." I turned toward the window. 3 buildings now bore VegaGuard's logo. "Send them up, and activate Protocol Rosa." Protocol Rosa, named after my grandmother, the only family member who ever believed in me. She secretly bought me my first computer. Now, her name belonged to a live demo showcasing every breach VegaGuard prevented in the last 24 hours. The elevator climbed. Screens around my office lit up in unison, attack maps, defense logs, live comparisons between compromised firms and our secure partners. The doors slid open. Uncle Mateo stormed in first, clutching the Forbes issue like a legal weapon. My aunt followed, eyes red and swollen. The Ramirezes, stiff and tense, hovered behind. "How dare you?" Mateo snapped. "How dare you disgrace this family?" "Disgrace?" I said calmly. "By building a billion-dollar company that stops firms like yours from bleeding clients? Please." "You lied to us," my aunt cried, pretending to be some IT assistant all this time. "I never lied. You just never asked." I glanced at Paul, too busy forwarding career articles and brunch invites to notice the empire I was building. Paul stepped forward, his smile practiced. "Camila, maybe we can realign our goals, merge our interests." "A merger?" I echoed, gesturing at the glowing displays. "No one skips the audit," I said, "not even family." I smiled coldly. "Even for family, there are lines you don't cross." "We're not just clients," Mateo snarled. "We're family. You owe us." I rose slowly. "Do I?" I circled my desk to face him. "Let's review what I owe you. Shall we start with the day you threw my things into the rain? Or when you told the Gulf Shore Country Club I was having a breakdown? Or how about when you tried to declare me legally incompetent so I couldn't access my trust fund? His face darkened. That was for your own good. You were wasting your future. A future you scripted, I said, pressing a button on my desk. The screens shifted, now showing VegaGuard's live stock price and market valuation, bold numbers impossible to ignore. This, I said, a company valued higher than every accounting firm in this city combined, protecting 80% of the Fortune 500, the tech behind a new $2 billion federal contract. My aunt sank into a chair, clutching her silk scarf. But why keep us in the dark? Were you really going to listen? I asked, folding my arms. She whispered, we were worried. No, I corrected, you were worried about appearances, about the broken engagement with Paul, about what the neighbors would say. Paul stepped forward again, still trying. Camila, we can move past this. Let's talk. Dinner? I pressed another button. A contract filled the screen. This is VegaGuard's audit agreement, I said. If your firms want our protection, you sign it. $50,000 per audit. Non-negotiable. $50,000? Judge Ramirez stammered. That's extortion. Actually, it's a bargain, I replied. Ask the clients you've lost. I returned to my desk. Serena will send over the paperwork. Standard processing is 6 to 8 weeks. Weeks? Mateo shouted. We're bleeding clients now. You should have thought of that before dismissing cybersecurity as beneath you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting. Camila Isabella Vega, my aunt said, voice trembling, this isn't over. It is, I said, nodding to the security team near the elevator. They'll show you out. Oh, and that reserved parking spot at Vega and Vega? You might want to reassign it. I smiled. The Vega name carries a little more weight in tech now. After they left, Serena brought in fresh coffee. Your aunt left this, she said, placing a small frame on my desk. She wanted to give it to you herself, but didn't have the courage. It was a photo of me at 12, hunched over my first computer in the corner of my grandparents' den, the gift from Abuela Rosa. I smiled. Of course, Uncle Mateo had hated it. Computers will rot her brain, he'd scoffed. But Abuela Rosa leaned in close, whispering, keep going, Mika. She slipped books about logic gates and C++ under the table at family dinners. Some people build empires with spreadsheets, she told me. You'll build yours with code. I propped the photo beside the Forbes cover on my desk. On one side, a 12-year-old dreaming in front of a clunky monitor, on the other, a woman who turned those dreams into billions. The following weeks brought wave after wave of attempted reconciliation. My aunt emailed daily, shifting from guilt to bargaining to subtle manipulation. Uncle Mateo's firm submitted to our full audit, paid in full. Paul Ramirez sent a cherry red Tesla to my building. I donated it to a local girls in tech nonprofit. I stayed focused. We rolled out a revolutionary protocol integrating adaptive AI, acquired 2 bleeding-edge startups, and my net worth quietly doubled, then tripled. But nothing distracted me from the date I'd circled in my calendar and heart, Abuela Rosa's birthday, the first since she passed. I visited her grave alone, placing a bundle of roses and a laminated copy of the Forbes issue beside her headstone. You were right, Abuela, I whispered. I built something bigger than they ever imagined. I stood in silence until I sensed movement behind me. She looked smaller, somehow older, not scolding, not polished, just unsure. The roses, she said gently. That computer was her idea. I know, I insisted. She saw something in you. I was against it. But she said you had fire, the kind she recognized. She held out another photograph. Abuela and me, laughing, wires tangled between us. She left this for you, and a letter. She hesitated. I was supposed to give it to you if you ever succeeded. But I didn't think you would. Not in tech. I unfolded the note in Abuela Rosa's looping script. Nikema, if you're reading this, you've already proven them wrong. I always knew you. Your parents don't know. The letter read. They never understood that true success isn't about following traditions. It's about creating new ones. Prove them wrong, mini Abelanti. Then prove them right about one thing, that you're still their daughter even if you chose a different path. Love, Aina Abuela Rosa. I looked at my aunt, really looked at her for the first time in years. The tight perfection of her hair and pearls couldn't hide the weariness or the weight of regret beneath. I have a board meeting in an hour, I said, folding the letter with care and slipping it into my desk drawer. But maybe we could get coffee next week. Just us. Her eyes welled. I'd like that. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe it was the start of something new. That evening, I added 2 things to my office wall, Abuela's letter and the photo of us at my first computer. Between them, I framed a single page of code, the original build of the protocol that started it all. My phone buzzed. Serena, your uncle's firm passed the audit and approved the client agreement. I glanced at the wall, 12-year-old me grinning at a CRT monitor. The Forbes cover. The letter that told me I'd make it long before I did. Me, add a clause, I muttered. They have to update the parking permit first. Vega Guard Systems has a nice ring to it, because sometimes success isn't about proving them wrong. Sometimes it's about proving yourself right. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's about building your own way home. Even if it takes $1 billion bridge to get there. If you've ever been underestimated, pushed aside, or told your dreams didn't matter, I hope my story reminds you that quiet strength is still strength. I built something powerful when no one believed in me, not to prove them wrong, but to prove me right. Leave a comment below. Share your story, your turning point, or simply a word of encouragement. I read them all. And if you're still in the middle of your journey, here's my advice: trust your spark even when others can't see it. Subscribe and stay with me, because we're just getting started and I'm not done building.